Hi everyone, Alva Psych here. I have a quick video for you today that I have entitled Female Narcissism. And I've taken the information from SciPost from June of 2024. It was taken from the Sex Roles Journal with the name of the article, Gendering Narcissism, Different Roots, R-O-O-T-S, and Different Roots, R-O-U-T-E-S, to Intimate Partner Violence. This is from 5/2024. Authors Green, Hart, Day, McLean, and Charles. And I'll give information sometimes word for word, sometimes paraphrase, and sometimes my own 2 cents will be thrown in. Okay, the authors speak of two types of narcissism, grandiose and vulnerable. Now, results from the research indicated gender differences in grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. Men were higher in grandiose narcissism, women were higher in vulnerable narcissism. Now, retrospective reports of having mothers who were caring was negatively related to grandiose narcissism for men and vulnerable narcissism for women. Father overprotectiveness was positively related to grandiose narcissism in men. Okay. Now, in my readings, up to 75% of narcissists are male. However, this may be an overestimate because narcissism can manifest differently in males versus females. So a lot of times females might get a different diagnosis. I kind of think of the traditional sort of criteria for narcissism and maybe miss some of the subtler signs that females might present. So with narcissism, it's easy to think of characteristics such as, omnipotence and self-importance and, chasing power and sense of entitlement, lack of empathy, exploiting others, this authoritarian characteristic sort of presentation. These features which are more stereotypically and strongly present in men as opposed to women. But vulnerable narcissistic individuals display features of inhibition, inadequacy, hypervigilance, shame, low self-esteem, and incompetence. And while they look different on the outside, they do share it's called an antagonistic core, all good or the superior self, versus the all bad, inferior self, referencing Miller et al. 2021 and Pincus 2023. So research seems to indicate that vulnerable narcissism is more general, gender neutral, or more prevalent in females. Now, why is there this difference in the presence of narcissism between men and women? And remember, I should say this is on average. You'll find men who fit the vulnerable type and women that fit the grandiose type. And then, of course, this is a continuum, where there's, there's a gradient that you can fall on. Now, while there are those that believe that gender roles shape the behavior and characteristics of narcissism, so boys in general might be raised to be more aggressive and girls raised to be more nurturing, okay? And some theoretical perspectives contend that narcissistic features emerge because of early dysfunctional parent-child interactions. Horton from 2011 is referenced here. So such maladaptive parental practices may include emotional neglect, physical abuse, overprotectiveness, and overindulgent parenting, all of which have been found to contribute to narcissistic disturbances in the child. Now, I could go into a psychoanalytic self-psychology perspective as well, but that's probably a whole other video. Now, narcissistic men and women may be aggressive or violent in different ways. So narcissistic women may be more likely to manipulate people or spread rumors and be passive aggressive more so than, say, narcissistic men. But despite this long-standing evidence portraying narcissistic men as more violent than women, the author's research shows that narcissistic women are not only verbally aggressive and, as commonly depicted, but also physically violent toward their partner. Right. Still, however, the women may use their feminine identity to leverage societal expectations of women as being nurturing and passive, so they can exploit this. And this might include exploiting their perceived victimhood to gain positions of power and control. They give different examples, the authors do, but, think like custody battles, for example. And one more point, which is interesting that the authors say, that they mention that women are not always the victims in abusive relationships. Okay, so we need to kind of step back and remember that, okay, women are not always the victims. Sometimes they're the perpetrators. Okay, especially when we're dealing with women who fall on this narcissistic spectrum, meet the criteria for narcissistic personalities. So, very interesting stuff. There's much more detail, in the research article. If you wanted to look it up and get into some of the details, might be worth your while. And I hope it was useful. And that's it. Thanks.